What's going on, everybody? Wilson here, your spiritual hype man. Super happy to be back. I hope this is in focus because we are now on video too. If you guys are into watching video podcasts, feel free to follow us on YouTube. You can follow our NCUID on Instagram, NCUID on Instagram as well, and the spiritual hype man. I believe I changed it to spiritual hype man. So it's probably easier if I change it back to NCUID. I don't fucking know. I'm still figuring this shit out as far as like what's going to be the best way to connect. If you have any thoughts, feel free to message me. I think you can message me off the NCUID website. I'll put something up there that you guys can message me if you have any thoughts or ideas or feedback, how to make this better, grow better, topics, things like that. I really, really appreciate you guys. So again, if you're not feeling good, just remember it's just thoughts in our head, man. That's all it is. Just the fucking head. It's a chess game with your brain. There's certain things that you just got to give yourself time, space, and whether you need a spiritual hype man in your life or you just, need someone to give you some perspective, that's what we're here to do, and here to just help people figure out what are the things that they're not happy with, and then how can you change them? How can you get to a moment where change becomes inevitable? Well, I guess change does become inevitable when you're not happy with the outcomes. Really, that's what it is. So for this podcast, I definitely want to talk about just a little more effort, right? So a little more effort in regards to anything that you're doing in life. My aha moment came where I realized I looked at myself and I thought about certain things throughout my past as far as like things that like, I don't want to say handed to me, right? They weren't handed to me, but things sort of came easy. So school, and I would say school probably because like my mom was just like a fucking tyrant when it came to school, and if I didn't do well, I got the chancla, or the switch is what I think that the proper name for the twig that was used several times to beat me up. But again, that's a whole nother episode. Listen to my episode 5. I think it was my abusive mother growing up. Since then, good news though. Listen to the episode, but since then we've reconciled, and there's another episode of how I got to that point. So really awesome episode. But going back to the just a little more effort, I realized that like in life for me, certain things, even though they weren't handed to me, they did come easy. So at some point, good looks, good looks, and I like to thank my gene pool for that. Also just doing good in school, and then somewhat of being like a natural athlete. So like throughout life, like sports has been a big thing for me. As far as I played, I don't know, you name it, I've probably done it other than like, the brushing of the ice. I forgot what the hell that's called, but I did everything from bowling, basketball, baseball. Like I played a little bit of everything. Football, wrestling, rugby, soccer, which I'm continue to play now, which I've really fell in love with about 7 years ago when I met Patty about 10 years ago, and then finally like went to go watch her kids play soccer, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. So and I've been pretty good, right? So I've been like above the norm. Like I can go, like I used to be able to like put my shoes on and be like, all right, I'm gonna go run a mile, and then like just beat people on, let's say if it was just somebody else that was on the same level of me, hasn't trained, I would just beat them, and I would have some sort of like almost an athlete, top performer. Like I want to say top athlete, because that's my point, but I'd be like above the normal, right? Above the percentile of what normal was. So above average. And I think that's been something throughout my life where I'm like, okay, well, at least I'm above average. You know what I mean? Like whatever that is to you. It could be painting. It could be, again, spray painting cars. Shout out to my brother Mark. It could be doing nails. I don't know, fill in the blank. But maybe there's certain things that you've done throughout life that, like you don't need much effort in, and yet you still get a good result from it. And I think that's my issue. I think I've identified that part of my problem is I've gotten used to that. I've gotten used to the fact that like I don't need to do that much to, like be above something, like be above the norm. And I think that also has become an issue or my problem. Whereas I thought about it, I was like, man, that is probably the difference between like a top athlete, someone that is like, well, I think there's differences of top athletes, right? Like you can get to be a top athlete, and then once you're in that category as a top athlete, Then there's obviously another percentage of like, you got the bottom of the top athletes, and then you got your 1% of top athletes. But going back to me, I don't, not saying that I can or nobody can, right? I think we can get to that level of top athletes, but one, you have to dedicate your entire life. Like, that has to be it. Like, I'm just going to dedicate my life to be super excellent in only this, and I'm only going to do it for the rest of my life. So a good example for any soccer fans out there, Cristiano Ronaldo. Like, the dude's 40 years old. He's in fucking great shape, still plays, high level, super high level athlete. Back when was still a super high level athlete, but that's all he does. That's all you're doing. All you're doing is playing soccer, thinking about soccer, eating right, sleeping right, drinking right, eating, playing soccer. I think we all have the potential to do that if that's how, if that's what we allow and we can be allowed to do, right? Thinking back, I'm like, man, I think I would. If like my parents were like, okay, you get to choose whatever you're going to focus on. Now, back then, I didn't think soccer because of my influences. Again, when I came, influence, thought, emotion, action, outcome. Influence, thought, emotion, action, outcome. Influence, drive or create thoughts. Thoughts drive or create emotion. Emotion then drive or create the action. That action can be inaction, not doing something, or doing something, and then gets you to your outcome. And that outcome is your next, like, 5 minutes, like your next point of life, right? Like, I'm here. This is an outcome. And then you just filled with that. Like, your life is just filled with all these, situations that you need to make decisions on. And then everything comes in an instant when you're making an instant decision, but it really is influence, thought. What's the emotion that's driving it? And then that equals your outcome. The better we get at understanding that, the better we get at making life decisions or decisions in general, which ultimately become your life decisions because it's your life. Oh man, let's go. I hope you guys are, I hope you're in it. I hope you're in it for a good one. This is a good one. So they're all good, right? They're all good. But just, yeah. So for me, it was just understanding this, that like, Wilson, you sort of like, and again, I don't want to say I passed by because I did the work. I did the training. I worked hard. I was in the weight room. Like, I would run. Like, I did those things. I always kept that thing. But I also realized that, like, because it somewhat became easier and I was just above that, above the norm threshold, that's kind of where I stopped. It's kind of like, well, that's my effort, like I've gave a good enough effort. But then I thought about it, I was like, if I just gave a little more effort in this category, in this category, in this category, if I just gave a little more effort, and this is what I'm doing. This is what you're seeing right now. Like, if whether you're hearing it or you're going to see it, but like the seeing is the effort, because it's being happy with the visual that I have right now for the podcast at this moment, and it's going to change for sure. This was extra effort. Yeah, it took me quite a long time to actually get to be at this like comfortable level of either being on camera plus also just like the aesthetics. So I'm like, that's not the right aesthetics. And for right now, this is not bad. But it did take a little bit more effort. So Patty was watching TV at night or Netflix, binging on her Netflix channel. And I'm like, I can either sit here and fucking binge. I do want to hang out with Patty because even if she's sleeping, I want to be next to her. But in that moment, I'm like, all right, babe, love you. Give me a kiss. And then I was like, let me just fucking go in here and do and say what I'm about to do, right? Because I've been saying that I want to do this for a while. I got this chair a while back. Shout out to the To-Do dudes for actually putting it together. And so I realized that it's just the little bit of effort. It's just that little extra effort. And if you can do that over a long period of time, then it's the same. You're just compounding the effort, which is like compounding interest for you. So you're going to get something better. You're going to get, slimmer. You're going to have more muscle. You're going to have more brain power. You're going to have more skill. You're going to have more money. Let's go. So you're just going to have it just, the effort will definitely equal something. And it's the same thing with like influence, thought, emotion, action. So I think effort in that situation or in these thoughts, influence, thought, emotion, I think the effort is one, putting effort into like, okay, what am I not happy with? And then what do I really have to start changing? What is the effort that I have to put down? And what's the little bit more effort that if I do put it down, that can actually like forward my progress 10x, 20x, 30x, even 5x, who cares? 3x, 2x. One times better is better than zero. So like that's the way to think about it. And that's where I'm at now. And a lot of the things that I'm continuing to do is slowing down a bit, giving myself the time, and then really figuring out where can I put a little bit of extra effort. Like if I was ready to be done, can I really be done? Did I put enough extra, or can I just put a little bit of extra effort into this and then reap the fucking benefits, whether it's mentally, physically, and emotionally? That's all it comes down to. All right, homies, I appreciate you. I love you very much. Thank you for listening. You guys keep crushing it, and don't forget, nothing changes until you do. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.